Okay. So thank you very much for taking 2.5, I think it's going to be 3 days to attend this workshop. On behalf of all 4 of us, we hope that it was a productive workshop, that it helped you to think about your research and to advance it. I do want to say one thing because this is very important for you to understand. Each of the 4 of us comes from a very different place intellectually. Okay, we have very different experiences, and sometimes we may have given you opinions on your papers that are quite different. Okay, so understand that you may have heard from Susan that these are some important things you need to do to improve your paper. You may have heard from me, these are some other important things. Occasionally you may even get suggestions that are conflicting, because different people see things different ways. Okay? One of the things that I do when I'm looking for feedback is I expect to get conflicting feedback. And when the feedback is conflicting, usually I think, okay, which way should I go, or should I not go either way, right? These are judgments that you are going to have to make at the end. You got feedback from 4 of us. We all would like to see your papers published. Do what you think you need to do. Take what you think you need to take in order to get your papers published. So with that in mind, let's start with the first question. And I think some of this is probably in the feedback form as well. What are the aspects of the workshop that you think were most beneficial? And what are the aspects of the workshop that you feel you would like to see changed? And think of this as the review process of a paper. It's okay to be adversarial. Okay? We want to hear it. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. First, I would like to express my appreciation to AIFIS and all of you who already given us a lot, insightful suggestions, recommendations, so on. My opinion about the most interesting or most useful section is on mentoring or individual consultations, because it gives us direct steps, or what's it called, practical solutions to our paper. Yeah, and I think all the sessions materials are relevant, because it's not only for our practical needs today, but also for our future needs when we write more articles, because we also want to be productive and want to be efficient. If we know what to do and how to do it, then we might put our efforts in a more efficient way. And I want to also express my personal disappointment because I found that the mentors do not get my manuscript. So it's a bit disappointing, because what I do expect is that they learn the mistakes or whatever from my manuscript, what I have written, and then give me practical solutions. So by reading my manuscript, you will find out the weaknesses in my paper, and then I will be told, like, look, this part is blah 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 blah.
So did you send an email attaching your manuscript?
Yes, yes.
Can you forward that email to me?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you send it?
Actually, a long time before we get.
Just forward the email
Yeah,
to me.
sure.
Do you have my email address?
Not yet.
I'll give you my email address.
Yeah.
Forward it to me.
Yeah. But I found the comments and the discussion are very useful, though you do not read my manuscripts. From like the discussions, the questions, during the sessions, I learned that, oh, I need to do this to improve my paper. But I also expect that, okay, when you show me, look, this part is not relevant, or it needs changes in this way, and so on. So it gives me a very productive work, perhaps, because we also have limited time to, you know, like have a manuscript ready for publication. So by knowing what needs to be improved from my paper, for example, then
Go ahead.
Actually, that's really how we operate. We read your paper, and then so we can give you relevant comments. Okay. In this case, as you know, we didn't get your paper at this one time. But if you would still like us to comment on it, send it to us.
Okay.
Okay. You have my email address, right? If you don't remind me, maybe we should just.
Why don't we just write it down?
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
I mean, yeah, we'll be happy to look at it because we did it for everyone else.
Yeah, we did it for everyone else. We'll do it. Send it to Susan and me. We'll do it.
Thank you. Okay, other comments? What are the aspects of the workshop that you liked? What would you like to see changed? Go ahead.
I wish it was longer.
Pardon? Wish it was longer. How many days?
Well, maybe a week or 5 days, so that we have time to show you a revised version of the paper.
So let me tell you a little bit about that, because we do have, we've done one workshop already at Universitas Indonesia in Depok. And we got this feedback after the first workshop that they wanted some time for some follow-up. And so what we promised them is that because we were going to do a second workshop in Gadjah, that I would stop in Jakarta for a few days and keep open some time for those people who attended that workshop to meet me, so to send me the paper in advance and then come and meet me so that we could do a second round of discussion. Okay? So that is something I'm willing to offer again. If you have an interest, I can see if, so our next workshop is also going to be in Jakarta, but I can see if I can come to Gadjah for one day. I will only come to Gadjah if there are enough of you who want to. If there's only one of you, then it's really, you don't want to come all the way to Gadjah. But if there are 4 or 5 of you, I'll be happy to come to Gadjah. Okay. So let me know if you like that. If you like that, I can work it into the plan for next March. This will be next March, most likely the first week of March, sometime.
But is it the material same with today?
There's no materials. That is going to be a meeting with you, with the revised version of your paper, which you email me before I come here. I will look at it and I will give you another round of comments.
So it is very interesting. So because when we do this might be still confused, is it a good one or it is enough for our revision, and then how we should improve our production to write better?
So is that a question or?
No, yeah, follow up, I think that's...
Yeah, that's what it is, it's follow-up. I think with many workshops of this nature, not just on academic writing, but other kinds of workshops, there's a lot of research that shows if you just do a workshop and then go away, sometimes the results are not as good as if you do a workshop and then you follow up after a few months.
Or maybe if it is available, such as visiting conference in another country, that is presented by AIFIS, for example, that we are invited to present the paper such as in Singapore or in America or in 1 day or 2 days.
Right.
Well, one thing you could do if you're interested in presenting your paper at a conference, you might think about the Asia Research Institute. Yeah. Okay. The RE conference for graduate students that's held every year. That would be in July, June, July of next year. So, yeah, look on their website. They'll be telling you when to apply. So that could be possibly one venue, in the region to present a paper, and they bring people from all over the world.
There are actually a number of conferences. There's one at Yale. Somebody started at Yale. He's now teaching in Brunei. But he's been running an annual conference in Indonesia. I think we need to find some way to list conferences, and maybe on the AIFIS website.
Sure, let's think about it. But let me give you an immediate opportunity. You have papers, presumably you have abstracts that are better now than they were at the beginning of the workshop, right? Yeah. There is a conference, so the Association for Asian Studies is one of the largest organizations of scholars who are interested in Asia. Their conference is held every year in America in March, but every year or second year they hold a conference in Asia. It's called AAS in Asia. Next year, the AAS in Asia conference will be held in Bangkok. The deadline for applying for the conference is today, the 31st. But here's the thing, applying just means you got to put in your abstract, you got to put in your details, and I think that's all it takes, right? And submit.
Well, you have to find a way to get yourself there. That's another question. But
no, so yeah, I mean, so we don't have funding to fly you to different conferences if that's what you're asking. But if you're interested in presenting your research at conferences, there are many opportunities, and the most immediate one is the AAS conference in Bangkok next summer. I think in June or July.
Yeah, and bear in mind that this is today, New York time is the deadline. So that means you have a few hours. It's not 6 o'clock here, but
it's 4 in the morning tomorrow.
Yeah.
For you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have a bit of time. So you can go online, look it up.
Yeah, check it out. And if you Google AAS space in space Asia in double quotes, you'll immediately get it. Other questions? So follow up. That's thank you.
Yeah, I think the best aspect of the writing workshop, in my perspective, is I agree with Mas Aris in individual consultations. I think it is the essence of this workshop. I think in addition to how our strategy to publish our article in a reputable journal. Also, each of paper of us has different problems. That's why it's very helpful. And also, I face that that sessions is very impactful in my papers because the comments of the reviewers is very profound in my article. I think it's like a peer review, free peer review before we publish in journals. But also I have suggestions because yesterday I faced that I have both consultations from Siddharth and Paul, and it's very helpful because it makes a complement inputs. I think perhaps in the future it will be worse to have two reviewers. I think because it can make your paper improve a lot. I think because like Siddharth gave me some like a big background, and Paul is more deeper like that. So it's a complement in my paper.
So this comes back to my earlier statement, right?
Yeah.
So Paul is a historian.
Yeah, I know.
Your paper is a history paper, right? I'm an economist. So when I read a historian's paper, I say, okay, I'm not a historian. Let me look at what I know about structures of papers from what I learned and offer those suggestions. Right? So in some sense, what I was doing was I was reviewing your paper. But if you send your paper to the two journals that you identified, you will not get a reviewer like me. You are more likely to get a reviewer like Paul. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't give you a review of your paper of the kind that maybe I gave one or two of the other participants, because I feel a little more like their subjects are similar. Yeah. So but good point. But the difficulty in finding two historians to review your paper is there are only 4 of us here. And so our combined skill set is limited to what we know.
That sounds good. On the other hand, okay, we are all part of the academic community to whom you are really, in general, addressing your paper. If we cannot understand, he's an historian, he's an economist, we are linguists. If one of us cannot understand your paper, then that's indicative of something, some work needs to be done. We all, regardless of which field we're coming from, have to be able to understand the paper, even though it's not our field.
Yeah, going along with that, you want your paper read widely, and if you're writing as a historian about a particular place, Lampung we were just talking about, so if you're a historian writing about Lampung, the number of people who are going to be interested is pretty small. So you really need to find a way to appeal to a wider audience. And generally the way to do that is that whatever you're talking about in that place, there will be a general point that you're making that would apply to other places. But you also need to think about not just other geographical places, but other disciplines. So if you're a historian, you'd like to have sociologists read it, or political scientists read it. And so I don't really think it's a big problem that we come from different disciplines, because you'll be interested in, okay, if you're not a historian, what is my reaction as a historian to your paper? I'm not only interested in history, I have other interests. So you really want to appeal to as wide an audience as you can. And so hearing from two people from two disciplines is really to your benefit.
So, to end that comment, if you remember one of the first things Paul mentioned in his presentation, right, yesterday. What do editors want? What do editors want? Starts with R.
Readers.
They want readers. Yes. So if your paper appeals to more, they get more readers, more likely your paper gets accepted. Okay. Any other comments? All right. So the first thing was that. The second set of feedback is a little bit more related to the logistics of the conference. You know, were you comfortable with the space, with the different rooms that were used, with the timing of the different sessions, the sequence of the sessions, you know, more generally how the whole workshop was structured? Sorry?
Everything is okay. Dealing with logistics,
Okay.
lunch.
Lunch was good?
Good.
Food was okay. That's very important. Food's really important. Yeah.
Go ahead,
please.
Sorry, I talked again, but perhaps I recommend to improve the program is to a more organized the small group discussions better, so that it's not like repeating concepts like we have in the first day, small group discussions, exploring like what is the situations, answers, something like that. But in the second day, it's same sessions like that. So it's like kind of a repetitive. What is the sessions? I think.
So
the hope was because you were addressing different people, and so our hope was that having you do it a second time, but for different people, you might have improved your presentation.
Yeah.
Now, if that isn't effective, we can adjust that, or maybe try something different. So I'd like the feedback. Thank you.
What do other people think? Did you like the fact that there were two different group sessions, or do you prefer to have only one?
Two, I think two is better.
Two is better? Okay, so then maybe we should have a show of hands, just to get an idea. How many people think one session is enough? Group session. Okay.
Well, I think maybe what you're saying isn't so much that there shouldn't be two sessions, but we should do something different in the second session. Because the second one really was set up to do pretty much the same thing. So maybe we should be doing something a bit different in the second session. And that's a good idea, I think.
What aspects of having two sessions did you like, rather than just one? So some of you said you preferred having two sessions. What was it about having two rather than one that you liked?
You can have a different insights.
Different insights.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the idea, is you're mixing with different people. The first time you're mixing with a group that maybe is a little more homogeneous in interests, and the second time it's a complete mix. from all over the place.
Yes.
For me, I choose two different sections because it's also connected with what we can say. Sorry. In the second section, then I try to show to the mentor what the thing that I already changed from the previous one. So actually, within a very short time, I think what should be changed, and I try to present it to the mentor. This is my point of view.
Can I interject at this point? The other reason for bringing you into two group discussions, okay, is we feel that if you are able to articulate what your ideas are, what changes you see you've done, what your difficulties are, it really helps to clarify your thinking as well. As Ida here said, you get different perspectives, and different people ask different questions in different ways. So you're in a way, you're defending your work to two different groups, and that actually only works for you. You notice that in the group, people are asking questions that maybe you never expected to be asked. So if you do that only once, it's good. But then as we shift the memberships of the group, because the components of the group, so you're really faced with two different panels, so to speak.
Also, if you think back to that first small group session that we had, let's face it, the presentations that you made were pretty rough. You know, by the time we got to two, where you were talking about the changes that you made, you guys were talking much more clearly and coherently about what you had done, what you were planning to do. You could handle the questions better. Generally, at least with the two groups that I dealt with. I mean, I was kind of impressed. I was kind of impressed by the change, by the change that I had seen in the way people were talking about their papers. They were much more focused. The presentations were much more together. Thank God, it was just, yesterday afternoon, I could kind of sit back there and just listen, and I could actually follow what you were saying without much trouble at all. In that first session, I was really kind of, what's going on here? That type of thing. So I mean, in that way, it's useful. Once again, though, I mean, maybe
we can tweak.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember when we had a discussions, the mentor and then three of us, and then when one of us have to tell what we write, and then the other is invited to ask comments. I think it can be improved by providing them with at least the abstract. Because when we do not have any idea about what others have read, maybe we ask questions just to please the presenter, the person who is.
So between sessions 1 and 2, I think an assignment saying rework your abstract may also be useful.
For the next at least we have information, background information was
Well, even the first session, we should.
I think even the first session.
Even the first session, beginning to think about that.
Also, just on a small note, by the time we had the second session, you guys were more comfortable with each other. So you were able to really, say what you wanted to say more easily than during the first day. First time you were getting in situations, everybody was still a little bit, kind of like sizing everybody else up. At the time, the second discussion, we had it on the second day. So you already knew each other a little bit, had talked to each other a little bit, so you were more comfortable with what you were needed to do. So I think that helps to help.
Like the exercise, I remember which for, but we have to give critique to I think introductions, right? So if it is one of our friends, well, it might be to what is it? Might often, but what I want to say is that if we get feedback from others, we know what to do directly for our own writing.
Thank you.
It's a model, yes, it's good. but it might be more, what is it, productive if it is about our own life.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll see, but you're right, it also might be uncomfortable, so we'll think
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
yeah,
yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 11:42, lunch started 12 minutes ago. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
Well, I'd like to make three comments very quickly. First of all, one of the most important things as you're writing is to talk to other people. Talk to your colleagues, talk to each other. I find too often people write in isolation. And they know what they're writing, but when you ask them, tell me about it, they stumble because they haven't really focused. And that was, these small groups, the idea is you have to tell people in a short time what you're doing. And you can get together yourselves as you're writing things. Just go for coffee and say, okay, listen to me for 5 minutes. This is what I'm doing. Does it make sense to you? So that's the first thing. Second thing, we've done an earlier workshop, and we've also dealt with Indonesian writers in other workshops. And I just want to say I am really deeply impressed with what's going on here. The quality of the research questions, the quality of the data. The big problem we're seeing is in the organization, the structure, putting in research questions. But this is being built on a very, very interesting foundation. And so the final thing is just to say, I really feel privileged to be able to talk to you and find out on your side what's going on here, because there is something very exciting happening.
Thank you. Okay, lunchtime.
Okay, sorry, one last, sorry, just to echo what Paul said. I think Paul and I talked about this. We do think that all your research topics and questions are very interesting. You have something new to say to the academic community. Okay, and when, I'm not saying if, when your article does get published, could you please let us know?
Yes.
Okay, let AIFIS know, and then we will.
We'll let everybody know. So, if I may quickly just tell you, there's going to be a change in location. Please look at your schedule. The next session is going to be in the multimedia room, second floor of Air M. Margono building in FE Bay. All right, so the next building over. So if you come back here and find it empty, that's why you'll find it empty.
Okay, so our email addresses are up there. Please copy them and feel free to get in touch.
Yes.
I'm going to ask Siddharth also.
Oh, yeah, it's not there. Okay.